I got my coffee. I got my milk. I'm just kidding. It's water.
Hey.
Oh my. Hi guys, how are y'all? We're doing great. At least I think I can vouch for myself. How are you doing, Amelia?
I'm
Fantastic. Thank you for asking, Bradley.
Okay, so basically we're having a debate kind of thing over our music opinions, because if you don't know us, you wouldn't know, but Brad and I have very differing opinions in music.
Okay, so let's just get into these opinions.
I think you guys are gonna hate me significantly more because of my first point. So, my first point is that Beyonce is way overrated. As, good as she is, and she's a fantastic singer, her vocals are great, she just is way too overrated. I rarely hear her music on the radio anymore. It never pops up on my Apple Music thing or on my Spotify Premium recommended. Everybody calls her the queen, but she has maybe 4 songs that I know and like.
I think she has a full album.
If you're gonna pull up Lemonade, no, because that album was not that great. It wasn't great. There was one good song in there and I can't even remember the name of it. Her best songs are Halo. Yeah, okay, Halo's her only good song.
I will argue that her whole self-titled album, Beyonce, is an incredible album with a complete great concept and a complete interactive listen. I recommend that you listen to it because it has songs such as Pretty Hurts, Drunken Love, it has No Angel,
Oh, Drunken Love's good.
XO, Blue,
Drunken Love is the
which
only
is
one
her
I
song.
know about.
You don't know about...
I think Beyonce is hey.
I'm really famous now, so I can just do whatever the I want.
And then Jay-Z's there ah! And so the two of them are haha, we're royalty, we don't have to be good anymore.
Hey, here's the thing. I will agree with you that she is kind of transitioned into a more unique style. I still think she's somewhat the same, but her music is definitely less R&B. But I don't think necessarily that it's worse. I still think she's working just as hard. She's been successful in different areas of her career now. She's now been an actress in The Lion King. She's made her Lemonade album, which I think was pretty good.
She ruined the song Perfect by Ed Sheeran. It's the same thing as Demi Lovato with Fall Out Boy's Irresistible. When you add a singer who doesn't belong in that genre, it just ruins it. I love that she's expanding her horizons a little bit. She's going off, she's doing The Lion King, which I think she was great in. That being said, her music was way better when she was in Destiny's Child. When she first went solo, her music was way better than it is now. I think at the time she was not overrated. I think now she's overrated. If you're still calling the Beyonce the queen, if you want some queens, I'm talking Billie Holiday, Lizzo. Lizzo is better than Beyonce, okay?
Okay, listen, I like
agree?
Lizzo. I would never compare. Lizzo is more lyrical, she's more R&B, she's more classically trained. Beyonce's just this crazy riff, dancey, powerful artist, and not that Lizzo isn't that.
So is
Lizzo.
Not
that
okay,
Beyonce's
I think they're
thing.
totally comparable. They basically do the same thing, but Lizzo's way better.
Beyonce, what she does is she's still very R&B, she's still very pop, she's very contemporary. I wouldn't necessarily pin her down in the more rap hip-hop section, which I think Lizzo is fitting her way into in a better position. Will I say genre-wise that they are the same? They're close, but I wouldn't say that they're the same.
But we're gonna talk about Janelle Monáe, and I have listened to 2 of Janelle Monáe's songs, and I already think she's better than Beyonce.
Okay, I will give you that.
His point is that Janelle Monáe is underrated, and my point is that Beyonce is overrated. So if we knock Beyonce down a couple pegs and bring Janelle Monáe up, I'd be fine with that.
I want to move on to my next point because this works completely in transition with the Beyonce point, which is that artists can't be overrated. They just can't be, but they can be overplayed. When it comes to art nowadays, there's obvious things that maybe don't necessarily need to be as big as they are. but I would never use the term overrated to describe someone or something, because the production and the work that goes into everything is all worth it in the end. Overrated means something that doesn't deserve the thing that it was. However, I do believe things can be underrated in a sense, because I believe there are artists that do work just as hard and don't get the recognition they deserve. When I say overplayed, I mean just like radio stations and media sites. They're all using these pieces of music that aren't necessarily the greatest, or there's someone else in the world that does it better, but for some reason that's the thing that's getting the most hype, I guess. A great example of this is like Stuck With You, I think that's what it's called, by Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber, and it's very generic. It's a generic contemporary pop song, but for some reason that song got #1 like the second it released. It did not deserve it. It was not really an authentic race to the #1 spot. She's talking over me with her little
what that song is, so I don't see how it's overplayed or overrated when I haven't even heard it, and I frequently listen to the radio in the car. My first counter argument is using Brad's own words against him. Because in grade 9 in science class, our teacher was playing the radio and Selena Gomez comes on and he turns to me and goes,
Can I tell you something controversial?
and I'm like, sure. He goes,
Selena Gomez is overrated.
overrated. He said that.
Okay, what I will say
First of
is
all,
I think
hold
she's
on,
overplayed.
I'm not done.
I'm not finished.
No, I forgot what I was gonna say. You go ahead.
I make mistakes. I say things and I make mistakes that I should have never said. I will argue the fact that Selena Gomez is overplayed. Absolutely, I will.
But she's
There's still songs
not.
like Wolves that are on the...
Okay, when she has a new song out, maybe it's overplayed a little bit. But that's because she's slightly overrated. That's the only reason that they play those songs.
I think the argument can be made. Possibly an artist is overplayed because they're so well known. But when it comes to the term overrated or overhyped, I don't think it's the correct term to use for someone like Selena Gomez or like Billie Eilish. Although I don't necessarily am completely enthralled by their music, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that people should be not putting them at the higher standard that they're at. If they've made it there, they deserve the hype, they deserve what they've gotten.
When somebody doesn't like an artist or doesn't know an artist, they don't want to hear that song on the radio. They want to hear the songs they know and love. So they're going to play songs that everybody loves. Like, people don't realize that things are overrated until it's overplayed. So what I'm saying is it works in tandem. That someone's overrated and then it becomes overplayed and then everybody realizes they're overrated because they listen to the song so much. I think I'm done for this point. Like, I think I've proven my point. I think I've already won no matter what you say. When I get into debates, I get passionate. Like, I've stood
This
on
is
chairs
true.
multiple times.
This is ridiculous! Ridiculous! No, listen to me! Listen to me!
We're complete with that point.
Brad's really one to talk, saying people can't be overrated. So Brad tends to judge artists based off of how they are live. I think it doesn't matter, because if I can put a pair of headphones in and jam to their recording, that's all I need to know. I actually hate listening to live recordings.
Okay.
Recording versions are the only version you actually need to enjoy the song. Otherwise, go buy a ticket and go see their show. However, if they're not good live, don't go see their show. Just listen to the recording. It's not that hard.
I will argue though that I love to listen to the music. I will agree that, yeah, obviously the recording matters. But an artist is supposed to be made famous by the way in which they perform, the way in which they're able to entertain. That's what this whole job is about, entertaining people. Obviously, yes, you can entertain with a recording, but the main way in which you can get your money, with the way you can get your dollars, is by entertaining a crowd. If you're terrible at singing, you can still keep the energy up and
Brad says
bopping.
all this, but he's a huge fan of auto-tune.
No, yeah, and this is what I'm saying. If you're able to be entertained by someone in a concert, that's the form. Even if you're terrible at music, but yet you're still very popular, you're still known for having great concerts, and you're able to keep the energy up, that's amazing. But if you're just bad in general, you don't have stage presence, you don't have a great voice, I have no respect for you.
Okay, do you remember the song Cheerleader?
Yeah.
Did you like that song?
I mean, like, I liked the recording of it.
Yeah, but have you heard him live?
Oh, he's probably bad.
Oh, he's horrible. I'm sorry, Omi. If you're watching this, Omi, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so sorry. But when I listened to you sing for the first time live, Like, I couldn't listen to it. It was just so bad. But listening to Cheerleader, I can be like, oh, I think that I found myself a cheerleader.
Like, he has no stage presence. Are you sure?
Yeah. Like, he needs to pull his pants up. What's his other song that was really good? Lollipop or whatever?
Oh, Hula Hoop.
Hula
Hula
hoop.
Yeah.
Oh. Like, they're good songs, and I can listen to them and I can fuck them up. But, like, I can't listen to him live, you know what I mean?
Here's what I'll say to end this. If you can go out there and someone's like, Sup, we need you to perform, and you aren't necessarily the greatest at even entertaining a single crowd, I'm not really gonna be fond of listening to you and recording knowing the fact that you're not really good anywhere else.
So don't watch them live is, like, it's so avoidable.
I mean, I respect that, and that's what I'm saying. Our recording does matter. If I'm talking about someone in respect to Omi, he is kind of like a 1 to 2 hit wonder. He's not very well known, but those 2 songs were very well known because of the recording. Beyond that, he's not really known as a performer. He's not really known as an entertainer, and that's what I'll leave off with.
Okay, but it doesn't matter what they're known for. What we're saying is if a song is good recorded, but it's not good live, it doesn't matter because you still can go back to listen to the recorded version and, like, jam to Cheerleader, you know?
Okay, well, here's the thing. I'm gonna talk about Borns. And what I will say,
love Borns.
Borns' music is not that great. I have a little bit to back this point up. He has about 2 albums that have been released. One of them, and the only one that I have listened to, and the only one that I could get through, is Dopamine.
Which is the only album I like of his as well. I will say, I listened to Blue Madonna and it wasn't that great. But to be fair, I only listened to it once, and I'm a strong believer that if you only listen to something once, you're not gonna like it the first time.
I agree.
So I might have to go back and listen to it again.
There are 5 things that are necessary in order for me to like a musician or an artist, and that is they need to have a good beat, good vocals, good production, good flow, and just overall like keep my enjoyment. And I'd say overall, the 2 to 3 biggest elements of Born's music is his production. He has crazy psychedelic beats that are very, very good. His vocals, which are
better recorded than they are live, but they are good recorded.
Entertainment and enjoyability. Yes, although I will admit he has a great stage presence and he can keep a crowd entertained.
Like, you can't say that he's not a good performer, like, just because maybe he's had a few times where his voice wasn't the best. Like, his outfits are so cool. His, like, lighting seems pretty cool. Like, if I went to a Borns concert, I'd be entertained. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, and lyricism. I think that's an important thing to add.
His lyrics are so good. Are you kidding? Okay, Brad's not a romantic. Borns is a romantic and for romantics.
Romantic.
I do think that his lyrics apply to a certain audience and demographic that subjectively I just don't like.
Brad likes the music where it's like,
I and get money.
and I like music that's like, let's have some fun and maybe talk a bit.
Let me go back to the point I was at, which is talking about Borns and his 3 specific attributes that I think a lot of people like him for, and that is his lyricism, his production, and his singing. I'd say that his lyrics are decent. Subjectively, I'm not into it, but I appreciate the fact that he's very good at poetry and keeping words with great meaning. I think I looked up that he writes his own lyrics. However, one of his biggest attributes is his production, his psychedelic, relaxing production, and the majority, if not all of his production, is done by Tommy English and John Hill. Not him.
Not everybody can be Billie Eilish doing their production in their brother's bedroom.
I know, but I will say that it does, like I said, put a little taint on the enjoyment of listening to Borns, knowing that he didn't do all that. All I can rely on to listen to his songs and realize, yeah, that's his talent, is his vocals and his lyrics. His voice, let me get on this. His voice is such a shrilling castrato. And I have a bad memory of castratos. They scare the living crap out of me.
That's a personal thing.
And I cannot listen to Borns.
Personal problem.
Okay, so here's the thing about that. So we made a list of points and let each other choose what points we were going to argue. And on my list, one of them was, it doesn't matter whether or not an artist writes their own music. And as we just said, Borns writes his own music, but I think that's applicable to the production or anything else as well. And Brad said he agreed to that point, so we couldn't have it in this video because he couldn't argue it. So I don't understand how he's using the production. Like, there are whole production teams, and I bet you anything that most of the artists he listens to they don't do their own production.
This is true, but I like their voices. And the thing is with Borns is
That
what I
you
will
don't
say.
like his voice, and that's your problem. That doesn't make him a bad artist. But Bradley has a thing with this Castrato who goes, he just hates it, and that's not on Borns. His voice is subjectively good depending on your opinions. Old music is very underrated nowadays and is probably the best form of music. Okay, so we're calling old music anything before the 90s.
Like, newer music has a better flair to it than older music. Older music, to me, is like the sitcom Friends. Here's what I'll say.
No.
I think that there's a lot of shows out nowadays that are amazing and have implemented jokes from Friends and did it in a better fashion. When I watch Friends now, I kind of look at the show and I think,
Oh, I've seen that joke before.
and I've seen it done better. I will give credit to the show. I can't watch the show now knowing that there's something better out there that used the same joke and used it in the same context and used it in a better fashion. The same with me with older music. Although yes, I have to give credit where credit is due. The music implemented so much new style and so much new elements into what music is now. The way that music has transitioned and turned itself around since the 1990s, I think has taken elements from the older music and made it new and made it fresh and made it better.
I have to say that Sinatra, Doris Day, Billie Holiday, who's the jazz guy? Louis Armstrong. Kids nowadays wish they were Louis Armstrong. They all just had such distinct voices that you know always who it is. But listening to the radio nowadays, there are some times where I completely mix artists up.
There are artists in the olden days where if you were to tell me who is that, I would have no clue who you're talking about.
But
And you wouldn't know. No, and you wouldn't. Because here's the thing. Although there are artists that are well known from that time, there are also artists who aren't as well known and aren't as popular.
The epitome of rock and roll was the 70s, early 80s, somewhat the 60s. Okay,
ABBA?
I would not be the person I was if it weren't for ABBA. Because Mamma Mia was the musical that started it all. Mamma Mia and Phantom of the Opera, both which were 70s shows.
Old music is good. Obviously, there's a reason why that music is popular today, and it is still popular today, and there are still so many people watching it. Someone would come up to me from the olden days, show me a song from the olden days, and I would be like, who sings that? They would be like,
You don't know who sings that?
but I go up to someone, showing them a song, a rap song or a hip hop song that I really enjoy, and they'd say the exact same thing to me, and yet for some reason, the double standard is that I am this teen who only listens to rap and is annoying and stupid.
Brad's arguing as if I'm saying that the only music that should be played is Bach. So you're only arguing the part where I said that old music is the best. And in my opinion, it totally is. Like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, ABBA, Andrew Lloyd Webber, all of them, they got me to be the person I was today. And they got music to be. Music is what it is today because of old music. And that's what you're arguing. But I'm turning that around. Without old music, you wouldn't have your precious little rock. And if I'm completely honest, I'd rather listen to Doris Day than I would listen to XXX any day. And you would probably agree. Because would you rather listen to, some shitty XXS song, or would you rather listen to Everybody Loves a Lover?
I do love Everybody Loves a Love. Those two songs are completely uncomparable. Is that we can't argue that stuff like that hasn't been enhanced. I would rather listen to someone who was influenced by what Doris Day influenced, such as Amy Winehouse, than listening to Doris Day, which is a great sound and a great, interesting concept, but Amy Winehouse, it perfected that.
Amy Winehouse was more influenced by black artists back in the day, I believe.
She was influenced by Etta James.
So yeah.
Stuff like that.
So are you telling
But
me
that's
rather
Motown.
you
Motown was
wouldn't want to
60s.
listen to Etta James?
Oh, I love Etta James, but I
But
would
okay,
still say
my
that I
question is,
enjoy...
why are we comparing them? Why can't you listen to both? Why do you have to listen to Amy Winehouse or Etta James? Why
Because
can't
your
you just
point
listen to
is that
Etta
old
James
music
too?
is better.
But you're not
I
proving your
agree.
point, because you're saying that Amy Winehouse is this and Etta James is this. But I'm saying that older music is underrated, and you're saying that you'd rather listen to Amy Winehouse
Here's what I'll say
than Etta
about
James, but
underrated.
that you like Etta James too. I'd say people
Valid.
like Etta James, people like... I'd say Aretha Franklin's underrated. Everybody only knows Respect, and that's it.
This is true. I have one more argument to make. Janelle Monáe deserves way more credit for the work that she's done in the 2010s era of music. I know that you guys have probably all heard of her song Tightrope. You know, like, she came out with a project in 2010 that kind of blew everyone away called the Arc-Android. Now, this project was kind of crazy because it introduced to us, at least in a mainstream sense, this entire concept, Afrofuturism. Now, Afrofuturism is a form of like music and entertainment that takes these Black voices and kind of puts them into this science fiction realm of entertaining people. Stuff such as the Black Panther, Earth, Wind and Fire, the band, like all of those things all tied into this one genre, which was Afrofuturism. So she was kind of one of the first people to implement it into mainstream, this idea of Afrofuturism, and it all started with this one album, The Arc-Android, which was all about this cyborg woman who was a different breed to many of the different robots and cyborgs in her community. She was completely left out. She was pretty much treated like she was lesser than. And I think that really translates well to like this injustice that we're now seeing play out in like a community of people that don't deserve it, such as the BIPOC people. Dirty Computer, that was a great project. I don't think there's much that Janelle Monáe really hasn't done, and I think that a lot of people overlook a lot of her songs other than Tightrope. So that's my argument.
I have never heard Tightrope. I literally had no idea who the fuck Janelle Monáe was until like a year ago when Brad started getting into her. Like, I've heard maybe one of her songs and it was not Tightrope, but like that's kind of my point, is going back to that overrated, overplayed thing. I think people who's produced really, really good songs that everybody loved got the hype. And that's when it becomes overplayed, and that in some cases is when it becomes overrated. Some songs are just really, really good and everybody agrees on that. Maybe that is a reason why Janelle Monáe deserves a little bit more attention, because she has never been overplayed and overrated. Apart from Brad making me listen to it, I've never heard a song of hers. I can't say that people who aren't completely popular don't deserve more attention. With music, if a song is good, you're gonna hear it at least once somehow. Like, you'd think on TikTok, if one of her songs was really, really good, I would have heard it. You'd think I would have heard it on the radio, but I don't remember ever hearing a single one of her songs. So that's pretty much the argument I have, is that if she really deserves it, how come she isn't more popular?
I think that there are many an artist who just need a little inkling of like representation on a different platform, and instantly their career will shoot. I do think that Janelle Monáe has an audience of people that will listen to her whatever she creates, and I think that audience is aware of the fact that, yeah, she's pretty much underrated. I don't necessarily think that you can train someone to like a specific genre.
Oh, I definitely think you can. You've sort of trained me to like rap. I've been listening to Childish Gambino a lot lately. Going on that, like, I don't think it's the genre at all, because if you look at like Mr. Roboto is one of Styx's most popular songs, and it got plenty of attention back in the day. I wouldn't call it Afrofuturistic, but it was definitely futuristic. It was like dun, 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 Mr. Roboto, dun, 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 dun. But then again, it's also about circumstances. If you're given good opportunities, then there you go. Like, take Ariana Grande, for example. If she was not on Nickelodeon, do you really think she'd be as famous as she is today?
Yeah, and like her demographic is still like those younger teenage girls who were there when they were watching Victorious.
So maybe if Janelle Monáe was on Nickelodeon when she was that age, she would be more popular now.
But I think it also comes to opportunities. Absolutely, you have to take the opportunities you are given. But she is given great opportunities. She performed for the president. She performed at the Oscars.
There you go. So why is she so underrated? Is that her, or is that because people don't like her? Because if she's had all those opportunities, why is she still at the level where you're saying that she's underrated?
I agree.
I can't really argue that anybody doesn't deserve it unless you're just genuinely a shitty person.
Well, I think that kind of leads us to our end of this video. Yeah. So
go follow the socials, support Black Lives Matter, email us with business inquiries if you have any. If you want to sponsor us, hit us up. But yeah, I'm gonna say bye now because I'm running out of storage space. So bye.
Adios.